Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 51 of Body the Cloud9 Fancast. Tonight we'll be discussing a gaggle of esports results, which include the Royale team's impressive results at the PUBG Invitational, CSGO's results with their full roster, more Overwatchmen watching, and some cool League of Legends playoff discussion. I am your host, havokpus, and today I'm joined by a lot of friends.
The doctor is back in. Dr. Manhatten joining the Bodied Fancast.
Frozencreek with his new pet, a wild cricket that's living by his bed. It's terribly annoying, and I'm sorry it's going to interfere with this podcast just a little bit.
Trey, it's been a while, but I'm back. And by a while, I mean I was here last week.
A while.
Don't call me a friend. High Magic Man knows that we're stronger than this.
Our bond is stronger. Like an anime, we have something greater, and we use that to play children's card games.
You can keep your statistics. I prefer the magic.
Exactly, the magic is what binds us all together. But we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. First and foremost, our Royale team, which I guess is H1Z1 and Battlegrounds, but it's basically just Battlegrounds at this point. But they want to cover their bases. But the Royale team participated in the PUBG Invitational. I believe it's the first ever LAN PUBG event, so it was actually very exciting. They had solos, duos, and a squad event, and we actually did pretty well. We came in second in the third-person perspective duo, first in the first-person perspective duo, and then we got 7th place in squads. I don't know if you guys watched all of it, but I did, and it was actually a really exciting event. There was a lot of players there. The casting was really great. I believe, what's her name, Pansy? Patsy, Pansy? It starts with a P, but she was casting it with another dude, and she was really good. The competition was great. Everything was exciting. I want there to be more PUBG tournaments because this was awesome.
I would start playing PUBG just now that I know I can win a pan.
It's a gold pan.
Damn.
It's all.
The golden pan looks nice.
It was very shiny. I was actually a little bit jealous. I actually don't think I can play this game because it requires a lot of hearing, and since I'm half deaf, I don't have the directional hearing necessary to really play well.
Dude, the best is getting someone to play it on your computers, putting your vibrating Xbox controller onto the tower, and then when they die, it vibrates and scares the crap out of them. It's pretty awesome.
That sounds pretty funny. But yeah, I hope everyone out there watched the tournament. It was really great. I liked it a lot. We won. Moving on, CSGO played. This is their first time with the full roster. Automatic took a extended vacation, but in the ESL Pro League, they went 1-1 versus NRG, and actually just today, earlier, they were at the DreamHack Malmo tournament, and they went 10-16 versus North and 16-2 versus Boots, was it? It was the Singapore team. So my question to you guys is, what are your impressions now that the roster is fully formed and actively playing together?
I want to see something more than 2 games before I start making a decision, really.
So don't even worry.
Okay, you're right. You're right. But I need more information before I start making decisions about this roster.
Has an identity yet. Like everyone's so puppy. Like it's about frags more than it seems like about playing CS:GO. It seems like someone on the team just pops off and hits like a 30 bomb, and everyone else is just kind of running around doing things and they're not quite sure what they should be doing. So I definitely give it a few weeks before I make any solid judgments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The play that we've seen so far is sometimes it's good, and sometimes their aggression that they use, which I think is a brand of Stewie's sort of style of play. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't work like hard, and they really kind of struggle. But
Yeah,
Tarek is the
IGL,
ideal now.
Him and his
When did
beta
this
play.
happen? Well, maybe the team is just trying to adapt to that. But yeah, this is really a pretty infant roster when you think about it. So I would say probably give them maybe 3 to 4 months, maybe even like 6. I don't know, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how the roster kind of shapes and performs once everyone kind of gets into a groove with one another.
I'd say if you don't start seeing serious like any improvement, like cohesion in like 3 weeks, and then the teams start actually performing good within a month to 2. 6 months is way too long to try and get cohesion. They're playing so much more. They gotta find an identity sooner than that.
I like to give wiggle room. I'm a very accommodating fan. But yeah, hopefully we'll see some results. Hopefully we'll get a lot of big W's in the future. Moving on to Rocket League. Oh, does anyone else have any thoughts on the CSGO stuff?
I think we're good.
All right, just checking. Moving on to Rocket League, Squishy and Torment were in the Universal Open Grand Finals tournament. And this was actually their first tournament loss under the Cloud9 banner. They beat Splice 2-0, but then lost 1-2 and 0-2 to Flipside and Fabian respectively. I believe the Flipside loss was in overtime as well. So kind of unfortunate, but you can't win them all. We still have a really great Rocket League team, so I think this is nothing to even worry about. Our players are great. I think if it comes to like a 3v3 tournament, I think we got it on lock. Nothing to even worry about.
Yeah, the 1-2 loss was tragic.
Yeah, for sure. But we still get to see some really nice plays by Squishy and Torment, especially in the Splice game. I think for the first game, they went like 7-0 or something, and they were just getting goal after goal, and it was really crazy, and everyone in the Discord was blowing up and being like, oh my god, they're amazing. So it was really fun to watch and kind of see people react to that game. Anyhow, we have Smash news. Everyone likes Smash news. Mango and Ally were at the Shine 2017 tournament. Mango got second in doubles with Mewtwo King, only falling to CLG's PPU and SBAT, which is pretty great. For singles, Mango had a really good time. The only enemies being HBox and himself, it seems. Mango had a nice winners run, only to participate in the losers finals against S2J. Mango faced Hungrybox in the grand finals and then lost to him 2-3. I actually was able to watch a little bit of the grand finals, because most of the time with Smash it's either like I'm doing something or it's too late and I just go to sleep. But I actually watched his grand finals match against HBox, and it was kind of a tragic loss.
Oh yeah, it was so frustrating. Like he was like right there, and then didn't he like mess up some move or something? And then
I know it.
He just
there
lost.
I know there was one part where like he just jumps up in the air, and then I think the tree blew him, and so he just flies off the stage, and then he just died.
Okay.
He side beat off the ledge and killed himself. He had so much momentum going that SD definitely set.
He did what we call a busker. Anyways, he looked really good, and he played the bird literally like almost all the tournament. In fact, he was like 1-1 with HBox before he brought out Fox. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
The surprising thing is one, that he went primarily Falco, since normally he does play Fox more, I feel like. And then two, when he did actually bust out Fox, he was moving. Like, he was looking so good in that first match on Dreamland. And even the second match, minus that flub, like, he looked like he'd been playing Fox all day.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, if he.
Oh, sorry.
Now, what I was gonna say is if he had more practice on that day on Fox, he would have easily won, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say that it seems that Mango has really sort of awakened some kind of inner flame inside of him, because we've seen a lot more passion and intensity in the past few tournaments that Mango has been in. Is there any explanation for that? Is he really trying to strive and overcome some of these other top tier players like Hungrybox and Armada, and he's really trying to get back on top and cement himself and cement his legacy, I guess?
Dude, I believe it's my boy
Can't
Tafo.
discredit the boy Taffa.
Dude, he's been. If you listen to the interviews and you listen to how he's like been helping Mango, it's clear that like he's not the normal coach you would think. It's not like the mid set like, oh, you need to play Fox here type thing. It's where it's like, Mango, what do you want to do? Do you think this is a good idea? What do you do in this situation? And slowly teaching him like good decision making and teaching him like not to go to Yoshi's or some shit, depending on like the matchup, which is really good because he'll always be like, I can beat him on Yoshi's, and then he'll lose on Yoshi's, and it's like, well, what do you do now?
Yeah, it's
Triggered.
It's crazy. It's like, honestly, we make so many comparisons to LoL, but it feels like after that article that Tafo and Reaper almost have that same style of coaching where they're not trying to be like, this is how you play the game. They're like, I know how to play the game. I want to make sure that like you know how to play the game, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, sort of a very kind of supportive coaching style instead of more of an overbearing kind of commanding kind of coaching style. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad that Tafa was able to help Mango out and kind of bring out the inner champion within him. Hopefully he'll win first place in the next tournament he's at. Moving on to Ally. Ally had kind of a rough time. Doubles, he finished 13th with Mewtwo King, I believe. In singles, Ally was picking things up a bit. He finished 5th this time, losing to MVG Salem in losers' corners. So Ally is certainly moving up the standings with each tournament. I think he's getting back in that groove slowly but surely. I think at the last tournament, not Shine, but I think the one before that, he finished like 7th or something. And then maybe the one before that, it was like 13th. So he's certainly moving up in these tournament standings. So I think he's getting back in the groove, which is good to see.
It is, especially knowing that even he knows that like this past PGR season on him has been just abysmal. It's already bad enough that he moved down a few standings and that they ranked what now? It's MK Leo, Nairo, and I believe I forget who else they ranked above him. But it's also
it Captain Zach?
that they
Might have
ranked
been
above him. He went from 2 to 5 on the PGR rankings. But it just sucks. It like more now that like basically the entire Smash 4 community is in arms about the Bayo thing. I honestly think it's just them grasping at straws with the Bayo thing. But I mean, Salem has kind of been this Kingslayer ever since Evo, and that's kind of what's caused a lot of, to get a lot of people into like just into like this whole like basically people are just riled up. And also, I noticed that that's his second tournament loss to a Bayo, so I bet you that's kind of triggering him a bit. But in general, an upswing is the last thing he needs, considering he hasn't won anything since Greninja Saga, which was May. And even the closest thing he's come to a top like finish like that was like before that was Smash and Splash, where he got 2nd to 0. But it's good to see Ally on the upswing. And in terms of doubles right now, pretty much the entire community knows that if you're not running double clouds and your name isn't Komodo Kiri and MK Leo, you're not winning doubles.
Yeah. Another thing I just wanted to clarify, it was Dabuz.
Oh, it was Renegade's Dabuz. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He got ranked above Ally. And then behind him, it's Larry Lurk, Captain Zach, Komokiri, Mr. R,
yeah,
and
just
Abadango.
typical smashes. But like it was really this entire PGR season thus far has kind of been a bit rough on Ally.
Well, hopefully he can pick things back up. We all know he can do it. He knows he can do it. We just have to believe in each other and ourselves, and practice makes perfect. Moving on to our next story, Hearthstone. I actually have some Hearthstone news for the Hearthstone fans out there, all three of you. Cloud9's Kalento and Jita Hyani. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. There's a bunch of consonants. Forgive me. Participated in the Hearthstone Global Games for Team Ukraine and Team South Korea, respectively. Ukraine beat South Korea 4-1, and putting Kalento's team in a spot for the finals against Czech Republic. Sadly, Kalento's big brain wasn't enough, as Team Ukraine lost 2-4. So, second place is pretty good. Sucks that his team couldn't get first, but having two of our guys in this place is always good in my book.
Yeah, I agree. I was not able to watch the global games, sadly, but I'm probably going to go back and watch the VODs of it, so maybe I'll have something to say about it next week.
I started to watch it, and then after like 5 minutes, I'm like, oh man, this is actually really boring to watch.
That's what most people's problem is with Hearthstone.
Yeah, not to insult anyone who does play Hearthstone or like watching Hearthstone. I personally just couldn't really get super into it.
Yeah, I think it's just a thing of card games, really. I mean, I've even tried getting into watching like other like competitive like TCGs, like or at least watching them. I'm just like, holy shit, like what the like it just gets really slow really quickly.
Now, if we had a Yu-Gi-Oh team, I would watch this every time it came on.
It's time to
Gotta send him to the Shadow Realm.
Blizzard just needs to
or the stars.
Blizzard just needs to take the team that made the last HOTS trailer or reveal or whatever you want to call it, and apply them to Hearthstone. So that way we can have a Hearthstone anime
And burn it
going
down.
on, and then it can really compete up there with Yu-Gi-Oh, so that we can have the abridged series.
Question: will the anime feature a school designed for the specific purpose of teaching children the card game?
How to
And
play?
nothing
I'd be
else.
disappointed if it didn't.
And more importantly, will there be card games on motorbikes?
There needs to be card games on motorcycles.
Card games on
It's a very
motorcycles.
critical issue.
That's a thing.
Dude, like the bicycles or the motorcycles nowadays already got tablets built in. I'm pretty sure we could do it real life.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it for
I'd
sure.
watch the fuck out of that.
All right. Well, let's move on to our Overwatch segment. Yay! So after Cloud9's pretty big defeat by Misfits, Alicus, the master strategist, has quickly brought in new blood and big names to the Cloud9 EU contenders roster. They brought in Sinatra, my boy. He was the star USA World Cup DPS player. He made a huge splash. He wowed everyone on his tracer. He's probably one of the best tracers in America. Fisher, who was on Hammers Gaming, Neptuno, who was a player for Movie Star Riders, Space, Silk Thread, and Zoms, while players like Keeb, Krems, and Crusade are either moved to the bench or just cut. And we have Gray, Mauzasa, and Nevix remaining. And I gotta say, if you watch the Cloud9 E United game, this roster looked a lot better. I think who we have in place right now is a great core, and I think we just need to work on our cohesion, because Sinatra was looking really well, Nevix was looking a lot better. I think he even busted out the Doomfist. They tried some really interesting strategies where they would flex a lot of positions and have like Gray play the Sombra and put Sinatra on a Zarya or something. So it was pretty neat, and the team just looked a lot better. Did you guys watch the contenders match?
I saw a
I
little
did.
bit of it. So go on, Trey, if you saw more than me.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think like it was a sign in the right direction, but we can't just, if something goes wrong, we can't just drop a team again. So we really have to start sticking with what we got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there is problems, I think we just need to train up around them, because the raw talent is there. It's just that they need to work on, coordination and communication and actually being all in the same room, because Sinatra was actually having to play that match in his Georgia hotel room. So he had to deal with like ping issues.
That sounds super fun.
Yeah, that's unideal as hell.
Yeah, but they actually won 3-1, or I guess 3-2, depending on how you count the last map and draws. But we beat them, which is the important thing. Also, there's some interesting Overwatch League news. It keeps getting better and better for everyone. So there was an article that came out recently saying that teams must create their own brands instead of keeping their own. So, for example, Cloud9 cannot be, Cloud9 or London Cloud9s or something. They would have to be like the London Royals or the London Jets or something. So how does this affect the Overwatch League in terms of brand marketing? Is it going to be harder because they can't advertise themselves and draw in the same people? Does it make it easier if they want to kind of sell the spot down the road because they don't have to deal with trying to separate everything and make it complicated? Is Blizzard getting a bit too ahead of themselves in all of this?
All right, so I think that Blizzard is getting a little bit ahead of themselves, but I think it's necessary in this situation. I think for teams like Immortals or any of the other teams who are based in America, it might make a little more sense. Or no, it like might work out a little bit better than for Cloud9, who is now based in London. And I think it's going to be hard trying to identify with a London team that is just owned by Cloud9, not specifically a Cloud9 team. My best example is a Liverpool. They're a soccer team in England based in Liverpool. They're owned by the Fenway Sports Group or something like that, based out of Boston. They own the Red Sox and they own stakes in a couple of other different teams. They kind of just own a Liverpool as opposed to like representing them as like a Boston team kind of thing. And I think that's where it's going to come down to, in the sense that Cloud9 is going to kind of be a conglomerate of partial owners managed mostly by Jack. And that Cloud9 is just, or this London Cloud9 team that's not Cloud9 is going to just be an off-brand kind of thing, as opposed to being a specific Cloud9 opportunity, especially since it's all new players and none of those that we have previously came to love. Though us and Notcher's a fucking boss.
Yeah, Sinatra is indeed a boss. Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's kind of necessary because, brand names and everything. You also kind of have to look at, well, what if someone wants to sell their spot to a different owner or something? If it's just Cloud9 or Immortals, it would be kind of difficult, and trying to separate that from everything else would be kind of tricky. I do think it is kind of exciting, though, because it does make it feel like it's its own thing and not just another limb on the Cloud9 tree. Now it's sort of its own entity, and it is, like you said, it's like the Liverpool situation where it's like, oh, well, they're their own thing even though they're owned by this other person. I personally think it can still be exciting enough for me. I'm not sure about everyone else here.
I was gonna say my big thing is like they're trying to tie it to geography. I don't give a shit about London, honestly. Like, if I'm gonna root for a team, I want to root for an American team. That's just that's just who I am, and I would rather root for a local team if we're gonna go by geography. So, they're kind of, with their idea of having it tied like that, it makes it hard on the fan base because, like, oh, like, I live in LA. Do I go for a Mortals team because they live right here and they represent me? But I also like Cloud9, so do I have to root for London? It's just kind of weird because they have a way they want to do it, but their esports is a completely different setup, and you can't quite do that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Pi here, but I also think that the longevity of Overwatch really needs to be thought out here, because if a team sells, you may not have to recreate the brand marketing and everything, but like you aren't going to get the mainstream populace if you don't have the big names. And to have the big names, but they're going by different names, is going to confuse the populace. So, I don't know. It just doesn't seem smart.
I mean, like, I get why they're doing it. Like, it makes sense in a geographical sense, but like, it just doesn't really make sense in like the short term, because all these teams are based out of LA for the Overwatch League to perform. And I know that the goal is to have them like fly around the world, but and such. But like the most insane thing to me is that they want these teams to travel for fucking Overwatch. That they're gonna have players fly from LA to Korea and fly back in 1 week just to play an hour or two of Overwatch. And I think that to me is like the most fucking insane part of this Overwatch League. That makes zero sense to me.
Well, I think they'll probably do it as a thing of they kind of cut the globe in sort of like regions. So like the North American teams play each other, and then like the European teams will play each other, and then they'll go to like more global international tournaments or whatever, and then that's when you start having the globe hopping. If it is the case of like the LA team's gonna play London this weekend, so you have to send Immortals on a jet just to play a match, that does seem kind of silly.
Yeah, and like on top of that, they could fly to Korea 1 week, fly back, and then fly to fucking London the next week. Like, that's just fucking insane. Okay, so yeah, sorry,
Yeah, I was
Pi.
gonna say
Go
right
on.
now there's 9 teams. 7 of them are based in the U.S. with, of course, 3 of them being, 6 of them based in the U.S. and of course half of those are in California. And then you have,
2 are in
LA,
just
and then you
LA.
have London, Shanghai, and Seoul. Seoul, sorry. I know the first season's online, but you're gonna have to expand it majorly to really actually consider having teams travel.
And they also said they wanted 12 teams. So where are these next 3 teams coming from? Because has TSM invested?
Yeah,
That sounds
I
about
was
right.
gonna say.
Envious has the Dallas spot, supposedly.
I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting if Immortals got a Brazilian spot, but they're already in LA. I think that a Brazilian team would be cool to see, and I think another European team would be ideal in that sense.
Yeah, Brazilian team would actually be great. I know Brazilian fans, like Brazilian esports fans, are like crazy, and they're really passionate. So a Brazilian team would be good. Maybe stick one in like Madrid or Berlin, so Cloud9 actually has someone they can play, and they don't have to travel halfway around the world just for a match.
Or deal with god awful ping or
Yeah,
something
because
like
they're kind of
that.
lonely in the city of England.
Feels bad, man.
Or yeah, and to answer the last question, Blizzard is way ahead of themselves. Yes.
Yeah, it does kind of make me nervous.
Yes, I think that's everybody saying yes.
That might be a
Yeah, that's a general
unanimous,
consensus, and that's
decision.
kind of what makes a lot
I
of
like the
people
ambition.
think that the fact that this could either work really well or at the same time work pretty like ugh. But we'll have to see. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like the ambition. I just don't think that Overwatch is the esport for this. I think that something else esport wise should be trying something this ambitious that has a better chance at longevity. And they just changed the fact that the Overwatch competitive seasons are like 2 months long or some shit like that. And I don't think that is going to be good for the state of the game in any way, shape, or form. That there's these major changes coming every 2 months.
One last note I'd like to say, off of what you're saying, and maybe more last notes if other people have last notes based off of this last note. But you say it's not the game. What would be though? Because I really can't think of anything like League of Legends has their system set up in each country. CSGO has a bunch of different smaller tournaments that are run individually as well as the majors, but that's not like you travel for those, but your team isn't geography based. You just travel from tournament to tournament, and like Dota 2 is the same thing, just because of the Valve setup, it seems. But like, what would actually be the esport that you'd want to have this big worldwide league set up for, where you only have 12 teams from geographic locations all around the world, but mostly LA? Like, I can't think of one. I think CSGO even has the league because E-League is trying to start where they actually have recurring seasons in a league, but everyone just goes to Atlanta and plays E-League during their time. Like, that's like the closest thing to, or no, CSGO already has a bunch of stuff. ESL, Star Ladder, like, they have a bunch of league-type scenarios, but you're not tied to a geographic location.
Okay,
Go ahead.
do you want to go, because I have probably a long point.
We may
You
need
go
to,
first. Mine can be segmented into the next thing.
Oh, my point was just like I honestly agree that I don't really know the esport for it, but like that's kind of works. It works and it doesn't work in Blizzard's favor, where it's just like, is there no other sport that's willing to just integrate this? Because I mean, it seems like for the more like it seems like in order to like grow a more stable fan base, this would be the logical next step, in the sense where we'd have to like have like more stable owners, and geolocate it all. And while Overwatch, I agree, I don't necessarily think it's the game for it. I mean, it's the only Blizzard seems to be like the company that wants to make these moves. And while I agree that's ambitious, considering they don't really have like a base, like they don't have a steady platform for it yet, other than just a game that's fan base is now stagnated a bit, and like all like the Overwatch madness of like last year is kind of stagnated a bit, and now it's more steady. Blizzard seems to see an opportunity and they're taking it, so I would say that's probably why Blizzard is going super ambitious for this right now.
I think going back to Pi's point, I think that a League of Legends is like the perfect esport right now to not so much take advantage of geolocation, but I think that they're in the best spot to take advantage of it. Like that, there's a college series with what is it, like 60 colleges or something taking part in like a tournament over the year, and I think that is a huge first step into creating a national system where players can play not full time, but they can play in like their free time after work. Like, it's not going to be like a full time job, but like players who graduate from Michigan State in Michigan can play in Detroit together as like a team against people from like Chicago, Columbus, even go to Wisconsin. And I think that this is like a base that's there, that I think if Riot were to work around it to make like these minor leagues, and they kind of are. I don't know what it's called, but I think it's Boston, New York City, LA and stuff are having like these minor league tournaments, kind of, where they're letting people come in and compete. I think that this is like a starting point for what we could see as a League of Legends world domination in a sense, at least in the United States. And I think that Blizzard's not going to be able to do it. And I think that if League of Legends does it in the right way, that they are easily the best esport right now to take advantage of geolocation. They just have to let run it against Beacon so Detroit can have a team. But yeah, let's move on because I've spoken too much. If anybody has something to say, they have 30 seconds to say it.
All right. So,
Pi?
Riot has already invested so much in building their little stadiums right there. What you'd be asking for is for them to take everything and just start spreading it around the country. And as well as now, your scrim partners currently are all living right by you. So you have a really nice scrim environment. As compared to living all across the country, now you have to worry about ping and stable connections to actually just get practice in. I don't think LoL is a good sport for that.
Okay.
I don't think esports is good for geographic location by the nature of how it's played.
I think this is in a short, or yeah, I do agree with that. I just don't think that this is a short-term goal. This would be like 5-10 years down like the road. And I think that they've already set some a base around to where it can start. And I think that if anyone's going to be able to do it, it's a Riot. And I think that they've already started kind of putting down the base for it. But yeah, let's move on.
Yes.
Sorry.
Lots of good points as always. It was my insane design that we would have lots of conversation, and Blizzard has decided to slowly implode in on itself and give us these talking points. But moving on. So the NA LCS semifinals were last weekend. Sadly, Cloud9 was not a part of it. But TSM, Dignitas, CLG, and IMT were. TSM beat Dignitas 3-1 in pretty TSM fashion. And I think probably the surprising, or maybe not surprising, result was that IMT stomped CLG 3-0. Putting Immortals and TSM in the finals race. Thoughts?
Cho'Gath is really strong, and we should have played Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I wonder why we did not play Cho'Gath as well.
Like, Cho'Gath is easily just the counter to Maokai. That's the simplest solution.
Yeah, and once it gets ahead, it's so fucking OP. And I think he lanes just fine in the Maokai in every sense. I mean, Maokai has ways to avoid his CC, but he doesn't quite have the same push that Cho'Gath does. And I think if we would have put a little more priority on not just Cho'Gath, but it would have helped. I think we would have performed a little bit better. Still would have lost, but a little bit better.
I still think we should have banned Maokai. Regardless. If we weren't going to play the Cho, we should have banned Maokai. Instead of banning the Cho.
I'm on the fence about that, but this isn't about Cloud9's decisions last week. I think that these results were predictable. TSM and Immortals were obviously the better teams coming into this, and I think that they're the best teams in NA right now, and it's going to be a really good finals coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for it. I think I have a thing this weekend, so I actually can't watch it, but hopefully it's a pretty good match. I mean, you have Immortals who have risen up after a pretty lackluster spring, when you have TSM looking to continue their finals dominance. I think this is like their 10th one, or something crazy like that. But hopefully we'll get a good match, and then you have the third place match of CLG versus Dignitas, which should also be pretty good. But I think the big
problem is that match doesn't matter, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be entertaining.
Third place match?
Yeah.
To some degree it doesn't.
Kind
but
of.
like, I mean, the winner does get the bye week for the gauntlet. That's pretty much how it goes. But I mean, pretty much the first team, like whoever does end up losing, will probably end up like crushing FlyQuest. So, or that's how I see it. So it's really gonna be a gauntlet semi of third place again.
I know the FlightQuest server
Yeah,
already
but-
talking shit about it. Stirring up some beefs here. We gotta have Cloud9 blue versus Cloud9 orange. I already challenged Jack. It has to happen.
Are they considered Cloud9
I
orange
thought
or
Cloud9
Cloud9
Orange was
yellow?
P1 when Medios was on.
I call him Cloud9 White.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to
You
say,
know,
like, wait,
yeah.
what is it?
Colors and beer are it's a good combination of things that don't work.
I mean, the reason I said white is because it's a ode to the old Samsungs, so that's why I decided to go with blue and white instead of blue and yellow.
I just remember orange is a color. Alright?
It's all good.
It is a color. And nothing else rhymes with orange
Or purple.
or purple. But yeah, I think the big thing is that with TSM's win over Dignitas, we do secure the first seed into Gauntlet, which I think will be huge for us. That way we have like a lot of time where we can just watch the other teams play, see how they play, practice a lot, hopefully not play like we did against Dignitas the first time.
I mean, I think when it comes down to it, at best, we're the third best team in NA right now, and at worst, we are probably sitting at 5th or 6th. So it's going to be interesting to see how the gauntlet plays out. Smoothie guaranteed it. I think that's a bit presumptuous at this point. I don't think we've performed at any point of this year to a point where we can guarantee a trip to Worlds. So we're still 2 weeks away. We haven't seen almost anyone on Cloud9 stream, including even Sneaky, at least in Eastern Standard Time when I go to bed. He's only been on once in the past week, I think.
He did just get a root canal as well, so...
Is that because he didn't flash to Leah, what's it called? Her W, I think?
Maybe.
I don't know how that affects your mouth in any way, but sure.
Yeah, I think that's why. Okay, so we lost Havoc. Did anybody get a chance to watch?
She's back.
Okay, did anybody get a chance to watch Longshu versus SKT?
Oh, yeah, I watched that.
fine.
Yes, I did.
That was the most exciting match I've seen. And
Dude, they put Huni in and everybody was like, and then he won a game and it was like, and then they lost.
then they lost. Yeah, I'm just so glad that someone besides SKT is like a LCK champion.
Well, I mean, KT won Rox won last year. So it's
Nah,
not like,
I'm not counting that because I didn't watch it.
oh, I see.
Yeah. So we're recording this on Wednesday, and as of now, it's going to be Samsung versus KT in the regional final. Does Samsung cockblock KT again?
I will.
God, I
will
hope
not
so.
get
I hope
excited
so
for
too.
KT, and neither should you.
I'm tilted about Africa losing today, but if Samsung can go to Worlds, I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean Samsung's a good team. They have a lot of really good players. I really like Core JJ. I think he's really cool just because he went from playing, I think it was ADC, and then shifted over to support, and then he did really well, and he's been a staple of that team for a while now.
Yeah. As much as I like to go by the traditional rule of never getting excited for KT, honestly, the only reason I'm kind of rooting for them at this point is just because I just love Deft that much. And while he's far from his prime back in Season 5, like around the time where he was on his first stint on EDG, where he was unquestionably the best AD carry in the world, at least for the first half, I I mean, Samsung, like Samsung did look kind of iffy against like Africa, which I hope maybe they'll clean up the nerves and give us a pretty damn good series against KT. But you know, it's really up in the air at this point, and we have probably one of the most jam-packed weekends of like League coming up now, because not only do we have the finals, which I believe is on Saturday. Also, by the time this goes out, the results of China are gonna come out, and that's gonna determine who gets the pool 1 seeding. Because for those who don't know, the LPL final is basically Royal versus EDG, and both teams are guaranteed world spots. But it's kind of like the EULCS, where because they made top 4, one team, the winner gets to go to pool 1, while the loser is relegated to pool 2, even though they both make it. So that's Friday. Saturday, we have the third place games, and that's when the gauntlet finishes. And then Sunday, we have the EU and the NA finals. So from Friday, like, if you're not watching League, like, I have no idea what the hell you're doing.
There's so many games. How can you keep track of all these games?
How do you think it feels to also be watching the wildcard games?
Yeah, and
I'm like losing my mind over here trying to watch everything.
Oh, are you really trying to watch everything?
Dude, I always try to watch
That
everything.
sounds like such a daunting task.
it is. It really is.
Dude, but it is, but you get so much information from like other regions. It's really nice.
I mean, I'm gonna say I'm sorry. College football like kicks off like for real on Saturday, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be at Spartan Stadium, watching football this weekend. So.
Well, you get a pass from me for that
as
one.
much as I want to watch Worlds.
Wait, so you're saying you aren't going to be watching the Oceanic, Brazilian, and Russian finals this weekend?
It depends what time it's on it. If it starts Friday around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be watching it. Or if it's at any point in time on Friday before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will probably be watching it because I don't have a life at work.
Just want you to know that
Frozen is the most productive of all of us.
Yes, I get paid to watch Yu-Gi-Oh at work.
You know, I just want to remind everyone
There
that BRTT
there I
is
said
better
it.
than double lift.
That fact will always be true.
All right. We have a couple minutes, and then we should wrap up. So, this is one thing that was posted in our Cloud9. Someone named Jared Bond C9, Worlds or extended off season. So, his main question was, would you prefer to see Cloud9 representing NA at Worlds? Obviously, if they smash the gauntlet / qualifiers, then they deserve to, but seriously, wouldn't extended off season be good for the team? We could look at our coach staff situation, and we could also hold more tryouts and do more theory crafting. So I think that we came up with a couple things, and I think that this is probably the most interesting topic, just because I personally had a bone to pick with this idea. But I was curious if anybody else had any ideas or thoughts based around this topic of conversation.
You remember how I said before we started recording that I'm going to be pretty quiet unless I go on a rant?
Rant.
So this is time
Is he gonna do it?
for
Is he gonna do it?
It's happening. Okay,
Ooh, and
this
others
question...
missed
This question makes me so mad. First of all, to say that you think an extended off season would help the team isn't the part that makes me mad. The part that makes me mad is we're going to get a long off season anyways. We know that. We'll have time to review anyways. We aren't going to be able to try people out when most of the people you would want to try out are going to be at Worlds. Let's be honest. So because of that, what are we going to do? Instead, we're going to probably sit there and have an extended break, and then we're going to come back after Worlds and review. If we go to Worlds, we can see more of Reaper, and we can maybe learn from Reaper's coaching style more so than we did in the regular season and the playoffs, because we clearly saw that something didn't connect. Because of this, an extended offseason doesn't really give us any advantages other than giving players a longer break, and we don't even know which players are going to stay with us yet. So to say that an extended offseason would help us is a little bit of a stretch. And not only that, but not going to Worlds really hurts C9's reputation. Because we've made it to Worlds every year since we became an organization. That's all.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
and to add, sorry, go
No,
on.
that's all I want to say. Well, that's an absolutely fair thing to say. You can go ahead. I'll make my point later.
Okay, and I was just going to say, and to add on to that, like, the break itself is from, if you go to Worlds, it's from the end of October to what, like April or something. Like that's more than enough time to evaluate anything that you need to evaluate. Like, if we were not to go to Worlds, we would have what, next weekend all the way to April to figure it out. And at that point, like, you're just wasting time, and it's just gonna be a bunch of sneaky streams, and that's it. Like,
It's
what?
I was gonna say, and there's not like IEM tournaments in between anymore.
God.
So
Yeah, and we know as of now that what is it? Smoothie, Contracts, Sneaky, and Jensen are all signed for 2 more years after this year, but we don't know about Impact. But he said that he's staying. So, like, what is there to even try out for? Like, we need to find a Cloud9 academy team, I guess. But, like, we're not looking for a specific roster fill. I don't even think that we need to change our roster at all. So, I guess I just don't even see where there is any benefit to missing Worlds besides we get a longer break as podcasters. Like, that's about it. Dr. Manhatten, go. And
Yeah, you covered most of what I wanted to say, and I'm just, which is just, well, the thing about Worlds is you got to understand you're going now up against some of the best talent that the world has to offer, which considering that only you have one other player who didn't go to Worlds last year on our roster, well, 2 technically, because Ray, and if we do qualify, we'd probably take him as the one sub you're allowed to. Which would be phenomenal for Contracts, considering besides Rift Rivals, I mean, that's the only quote-unquote international experience that he really does have. I think that'd be good for them in that case. Not to mention, it's really, again, like, what is there to gain? Besides just really not being as burnt out with IEMs, because I thought the IEM thing was absolute bullshit, where it's like, okay, Worlds is done. Guess what? We got to go to IEM in about 2-3 weeks. So it's like, wait, what? Like, didn't this competitive season just finish? So, I mean, if we weren't to go, I mean, we have from September. But spring starts around, like, I think, like, late February. So we'd have, what, September, October, November, December. By January, the teams are already all moving in. You know, I mean, like, because they got to start scrimming. They got to start, getting back into the habit. And that takes a little bit, considering some of the players go back home, i.e., are the Koreans and Jensen. So I don't see too much of a benefit other than maybe, and I say this super like conservatively, but like maybe tacking on some like other like staff. But I mean, considering they just signed West Rice and we still have Reaper and we still have all these other analysts, like, I mean, what could possibly be done to help like improve this current roster? And the only thing you'd really have to worry about is the fact that I'm looking it up right now. Impact's contract expires around like late November, so that's pretty much the only thing you get out of the way with an extended offseason. So I think 100% I would rather a Worlds spot.
Yeah, I mean, not to compare it too much, but what are we going to work on in the offseason? There's not going to be any teams around. People are going to be going home to see their families because they don't have to practice. And, okay, so World's over and they get back together a little bit early. Well, guess what? Like, all the teams that went to Worlds are going to want to break, so you're getting practice against the other teams who just got off break, and it's not going to be optimal. Who do you want to replace? Our longest-standing member who's been pretty consistent and had a few off games this split. The guy in mid lane who's breaking a record every split he plays. Like a former world champion top laner, Smoothie, who like everyone said stepped up as the support, or is it the jungler who had 1 year to prove himself and unfortunately wasn't the best jungler to ever exist? Like, I don't see any reason to replace anyone. Missing worlds just gives you a break. It doesn't get you any better.
I don't know, guys.
All
I think we could snag a lot.
Shut the fuck up.
Or Keith, we could get Keith. We could totally snatch Keith away from
Oh
Echo.
god,
Shut the
man.
fuck up.
What's next, Mash?
C9
What-
Keith,
what-
make it happen.
What I was going to say is, if things happen similar to last season, spring season will start late January. So getting that extra month allows her more home time for Impact, probably some other people, and our team wants to go to Worlds. That's pretty clear. The org benefits from going to Worlds for a lot of reasons. There's not really a downside to going to Worlds. I may be wrong, but I don't think there's a real downside to going to Worlds. Does anybody have a different opinion on that?
Not.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I've been quiet, but it's mostly because everyone's saying pretty much how I feel about it. But, I mean, Worlds is just such a big opportunity. If you miss it, you know, you're really kind of hurting yourself and shooting yourself
Even
in the foot.
participating at Worlds is already pretty damn good as it is. So I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter where if you get knocked out. Like, even if you just get, like, participating in the group stage, you're still at the group stage at Worlds. Everyone gets so much more, you know, exposure to the fans. Like, I don't know how many people even knew who, like, Alex Nox Luna was. And then they came to Worlds, and then they did, like, pretty well in the group stage. Everyone's like, oh, this team is great. We have to follow them now.
Yeah, dude, legit.
So,
I
you
called
know,
them
even just to
fucking
be in the
Albus
group stage.
Dumbledore when they walked in, and after that, they're like, okay, you've earned your name. But yeah, back to the point. Like, I legit think that like, it's just the exposure, especially for someone like Contracts, where it's just where I mean, the best jungler he's faced is what, Roxa or Trick. Like, I mean, compare that. I mean, the exposure for him going against like a name brand guy, like, I mean, possibly like Score or Ambition or Peanut, Condi, possibly. You know, like like these are the junglers you want to face more consistently, and seeing what the hell can you learn from these guys. Because I mean, that's what happened with Jensen, right after season 5, where it's like he started getting exposed to better mids like Febby at the time, or Rookie, who he considered like probably one of the best mid laners he's ever faced to this day. And after that, the guy started becoming an absolute fucking beast. So, especially for someone as young as Contract, I think that this exposure would be fantastic. But it's kind of like, I think it's generally unanimous that yeah, we want that world spot.
Yeah, just to end up this conversation, I promise to finally buy something from the Cloud9 store if Adobe make it to Worlds through the Gauntlet. So, as we finish up the podcast, what are your guys' predictions for the finals? We'll go down the line, starting with Pi. So I guess we'll go up the line this time.
Man, the TSM looks
Who wins? Who wins first and who wins third?
TSM looks so dominant over Dig. I think they're gonna do the same to IMT. It's either gonna be 3-0 or 3-1 to TSM. I'm kind of leaning towards 3-1. I think Immortals might be able to pull off a game, but and as far as Dig versus CLG, like CLG, I still think is shaky. With Omar God. It's relying a little bit too much on Huhi. Stixan and Afromu haven't been as on top of their game as they were in the past. Even though Dig looked pretty bad compared to TSM, TSM unfortunately does that to a lot of NA teams. So probably 3-0 Dig.
Trey?
I'm gonna say 3-1 Immortals and 3-2 CLG. I think CLG sees through Dig's play and corrects their own play because of it. And history shows that TSM tends to struggle when they've won 2 series in a row, first of all, and when they stomp out competition early. So I think TSM is going to fall here. And I think Immortals will be the new champion.
Havoc?
I think TSM's gonna win it. It might be a close game considering everyone on Immortals has played really well lately. Just this season, and everyone has really stepped up. I think it'll be. I can at least hope that it goes to 5 games so we can get just a really great match. My heart wants Immortals to win, but I think in the end TSM's just gonna win it like they always do. Something about them going to playoffs just turns on a switch, and then they become just really hard to beat. So I think they'll win it.
Of Frozen Creek? Yeah, so my heart says Immortals, but my mind says TSM. So I'm going to be rooting my ass off for Immortals to win this from a wedding reception. But I think TSM is going to win it. And I also think that Dig has 3rd place pretty much tied up for the most part. If they can exploit, oh my god. And I think that there is a lot of room there to exploit. So I think Dig is going to pull that out. Dr. Manhatten.
Well, like legit, I have like been struggling, and even in my Monday show, I said like I literally just said like just give us a good series, may the better team win. But like if given the choice, I'm gonna go with what you said, but where my mind says TSM, but my heart is telling me Immortals. But I will have to say Immortals, strictly due to one superstition that I have, and I think someone touched on it, and that is the 3-peat curse in NA. There's been times where like I legit thought even when I think I was absolutely sure that curse could have been broken with us, and it didn't happen. And then I was sure like, okay, CLG is gonna lose to TSM here, and then it didn't happen. And then obviously CLG choked like in the semifinal to still continue the 3-peat curse. So. And I think that Immortals has really, really been stepping it up, and I think that Smithy's play can actually punish some of some of TSM stuff, and primarily like maybe if like they gets the bot lane rolling just a bit, I think that Immortals will come out on top. But I'm just hoping for a 5-game series, that will tip it to Immortals. 3rd place game, I think that's a easy win for Dig.
All right, so moment of the week, I have a quick one. Mine is Afrika pulling out the jungle Lulu. She is my favorite champion to play, so I'm glad to see her pulled up in other roles than support because I am not a support player. I'm also not a jungler. I'm even less of a jungler, so seeing Lulu there doesn't help at all. I really want her to go back to a mid lane again so I can play her. But does anybody else have a moment of the week?
Well, I gotta go with my boys Longzhu for beating SKT in the finals. They've made a new fan for sure, and I shall cheer them on always.
I gotta go with, of course, my boys SKT. Tell everybody else they don't matter. Screw the haters. You're gonna be the best. You're probably gonna win Worlds again this year. Just saying. If we don't make it, SKT wins. If we make it, we have a chance. That's all I'm saying.
I also have to go with the theme of the best in the world at their game. And when Mango busted out Fox and just started styling, that's my moment of the week.
I'm not gonna lie. Pi has a
Dude,
great moment of the week.
Dance in game 4, that was insane.
Oh my god, that was so styling.
Styling until he didn't style.
Mine probably has to be. It's one that's coming up very soon, but promptly like on Friday morning, I will be flying out to Boston to see the 3rd place game in the finals. So that's gonna be my moment this week.
Hell yeah!
Sick.
Also, just a quick reminder: if we make it to Worlds, Sneaky will be tied for the most Worlds appearances ever.
Hell yeah!
I'm assuming that's with Dyrus the Yellow Star.
Along with along with Dyrus, Yellowstar, Double Lift, who will have his 5th one this year. I believe Clear Love is also qualified, and Prey is also qualified.
Damn.
So all of them will be going to Worlds for sure, other than Sneaky. And then I don't think Soaz or Xpeke can make it, so it'll only be those.
Hell yeah.
That's cool.
All right, well, close this out, Havoc.
Yes, the outro finally. Thank you for kind of taking over the moderating. Frozen, my brain's spacey today.
It's been a while for me, so I took a risk.
You put the foot down. That's fine. I'm not about the
Hey.
I'm not about the foot. I can't.
You know what?
I'm not stern.
It's okay. Brain being spacey means you just pick Fox.
Yes. But anyway, thank you for listening to the 51st episode of Body the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to us at C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. Questions might be answered on the next podcast, so please get them in. We like all the fan stuff. Keep up the good work. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace out, dudes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.